Okay, I want to talk today about using Blackboard Collaborate Ultra because we're going to be using it a lot this semester, and there are certain things that you need to know about how it works and where to go for certain functions. So the first thing I want to point out to you is that there's probably going to be a link for it somewhere on this left menu screen, and you can see right here for this class, I have it right here, Connect to Blackboard Collaborate. So I'm going to click on that and it brings me to the screen, and this is what you'll find when you get there. And you can see I've created a test session. It started at 8:45, so it's already in progress. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to ask me if I want to join the session. I'm going to click on join the session, and I'll see the spinning thing a little bit. I'm joining as test student, and this is the page that'll show up. The moderator of this session, which is also me on another screen, hasn't presented anything yet, hasn't put anything up on the screen yet. So you'll see basically a blank screen like this. There's some buttons down the bottom that you should know about. The microphone right here, you can mute yourself or turn on the audio. The default position that we're going to use is keeping the microphone off until you have a question. There are a couple of reasons for that. Most importantly is if you have your microphone on and I am talking, what's going to develop is a feedback loop, and it'll really distort the session for everyone. So unless you have a question, leave your microphone muted. The camera, in general, we're going to leave off. I'll have mine on so you can see me, but we have a limited number of video places in Blackboard Collaborate, and it takes up a lot of bandwidth. So generally, I have my students keep the camera off. If you have questions, you can raise your hand, hand raise, select to lower, and how you'll communicate your questions most of the time, you could use the microphone, but a lot of the time, you're going to do it through the chat window. And to access the chat window, I need to move my screen over just a little bit. There's this purple bar right over here in the corner. And this is Open Collaborate panel. Let me see if I can move it over even a little bit more. There. Open Collaborate panel. I click on this, and I have a number of options. The first option I have over here is the chat window. So this is the people logged on. I'm logged on. Test student is logged on. But the chat window. No one has said anything in the chat window right now, but I could go to my my account and say something. So you can see I went to my window and I typed, "Hi, are there any questions?" And you can ask your own question, or you can respond if you want. And your question shows up in the chat window and so on. And that's how we'll do a lot of our communication, through the chat window. This share content button right here, I'll get to in a minute. This over here, there's some settings. And you're probably not going to use the settings a lot. You could change your photo here and everything, or your name if you want to. You can adjust your speaker volume up and down. A couple of other things as well. If you don't want it to make a noise every time someone posts a message on the chat window, you turn this green box off. If this is clicked, every time someone posts a message in the chat window, it'll make like a popping noise. I generally keep this off because it gets a little bit annoying. But those are some settings you can have. You can see nothing is shared right now. As the moderator, I'm the person who can share documents with you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and share something right now. So I went to my screen and I shared a document, and you can see it tells you the name of the file that I'm sharing. It's a PDF. And this document pops up on our screen. And what's really nice about this is we can break off into groups and we can start writing on this document. So I can draw an arrow showing that this goes to that hydrogen and so on. And there are other things I can do with this. I can move that a little bit. That's actually to point. Let me do something else. I think there are text boxes also, so we can type on the text box. And there's also a really important button just off the screen right here. If I move this over, you can see this button right here, which will allow us to zoom in. And that's going to be helpful because it was a little bit small before. Now it's probably a little bit easier to write on the screen. Let me get that pen. Okay, it's not letting me get the pencil. Okay, it was letting me get the pencil. I just didn't realize it because it doesn't show up as a pencil. But now we can draw on it better and we can see it more. So that box over here, really important for magnifying and zooming in and so on. And we'll use that quite a bit. Now, when we're done working on this document, I can remove it from your screen using my moderator account. And you can see that's what I did right here. One of the other features we'll use sometimes is the whiteboard. So you can see now there's a blank whiteboard up here, and we can do the same things we did before. We can write on it. And if I put other things on here, we could annotate them as well. And we'll do that sometimes too. There's another application that I will use sometimes that gives me a whiteboard that only I can write on. And I'm not going to show you that today, but I just wanted to make you aware of that as well. So these are a lot of the functions you'll see on Blackboard Collaborate. A couple of other things you need to know are, over here in particular, this drop-down menu, there's only really one thing you're going to use that for. I have other functions there on my moderator account, but for you, the most important one is going to be right down here that says leave session. I mean, you can use your phone for audio. That doesn't happen very often. There's some help buttons here, but when you want to leave the session, when we're done at the end of our session, we'll click right here, which says leave session. So let me, and leave session is right here. I had to remove it a little bit because it was right under my video controls. So it's right here. You click on leave session, and it gives you this exit question. How was the audio and video during your session? I really don't know who sees this or where it goes. You can skip it, or you can say excellent or poor. I'm just going to click on excellent and submit and exit. And it'll give you that little message. Thank you for helping us make it even better. One other thing I want to talk about is that I'm going to record most of these sessions so you can review them later. And I didn't record this one, but if I had, when you go to the sort of entry point for the session, this is where our test session was listed, there's a button right here. You'd click on it and there'd be recordings. You'd click on it and it's going to tell us there are no recordings found in the past 30 days. That's because I didn't record it, but that's where you would find the recordings that we make of this session.